Welcome to the 36th Annual Walk of Life. We are broadcasting live from the UHN Toronto Rehab Rumsey Centre. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this event. We are respecting all of the usual important restrictions around COVID. You'll see we're far apart physically. I have a mask and I'll use it when appropriate when we're getting close together. We are delighted to bring you a wildly successful event virtually, and we're so pleased that all of you can join in together today. We're going to start with some words of welcome from Mr. Leo Del Zotto, the president of the Cardiac Health Foundation of Canada.
I was given a second chance at life, a wake-up call to stay healthy and play more golf. You will have to make a total lifestyle change and make the health of your heart your top priority.
Am I going to survive? Am I going to make through this? And then when you make it through, then you want to survive, you want to live. So there's a process in your mind that you have to make yourself stronger.
You're far better being active than inactive. Sit around and worry about your condition isn't going to do you any bit of good. I think you're going to get out and you're going to be active.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 36th year of the Walk of Life. And this is a memorable occasion because no matter what, COVID and everything else in our pathway, we're doing a virtual walk, and it's here to have friends, family, and sponsors and participants enjoying a great day of good health. For my part, I'm doing it virtually like the other 1,000 people, while a few of our committee members are in the shop at Rumsey Road doing a personal part. Thank you for being here. Thank you to sponsors. Thank you to participants. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Leo. And now, a word from Bruce Avery, who's the Vice President and Walk of Life Chair for the Cardiac Health Foundation of Canada. And by the way, Bruce is a graduate of this program from 22 years ago and still doing very, very well.
Good morning and welcome everyone to the 36th anniversary of the Walk of Life and our first ever virtual walk. Thank you everyone for clicking into the live feed for the official kickoff this morning. After 36 years, while we're all forced by circumstances to participate in a different kind of walk, we also find hope in what has remained the same. That is, that we have all joined together today to continue to support cardiac rehab as we have in the past. To all, I salute you. I want to express my sincere appreciation and thank our sponsors, donors, board of directors, Walk of Life committee, and volunteers that are involved in making this walk possible. I'd like to take a few moments to acknowledge our sponsors. They have stayed with us as we transitioned to this virtual walk and have continued to recognize the need to support cardiac health. Their names and logos are listed on our website, and I believe are displayed behind me on your screen. Firstly, to our national sponsors, thank you. Tridel, Bank of Montreal, Canada Life, and the Nike Network, and the Brand Factory. Thank you to our national education sponsors, who are Amgen, AstraZeneca, and Boehringer Ingelheim Lilly Diabetes Alliance. Thank you to our special events sponsors, who are Rogers and Liuna Local 183. Thank you to all our local sponsors. Their names are on the screen with me. Thank you all so much for your dedication and generosity. The Walk of Life continues to be an important source of funding for cardiac rehab programs across the country, acutely so in these challenging times. We also support the Dr. Terry Kavanaugh Heart Health Lab at U of T, and we note our collaboration with the Canadian Congenital Heart Alliance. I would like to give a special welcome to the Cardiac Rehab Association and program who are supporting us virtually today from Breslau, Ontario. Thank you, Dr. John Shaman, for your decades of unwavering support. And finally, a special thank you to the Toronto Rehab Foundation and Toronto Rehab Cardiac Program, led by Dr. Paul O, who, working together with us, has been instrumental in putting this year's event together. When I sign off, you will be relocated to the legendary Toronto Rehab Cardiac Center located on Rumsey Road in Toronto. This state-of-the-art rehab facility was built with a $6 million grant from our foundation. We remember and honor its visionary founder and first medical director, Dr. Terry Kavanaugh. While we can't celebrate in person together this year, what has not changed is our dedication and commitment to fight heart disease and help cardiac rehab programs across the country. Thank you all for participating. I would like now to hand the event over to a familiar face to many, Dr. Paul O. He is Medical Director and Good Life Fitness Chair, Cardiovascular Disease Prevention and Rehabilitation, Toronto Rehab and Peter Munk Cardiac Center at University Health Network. They say if you want something done, give it to a busy person. In his free time, Paul also serves as the Chief Medical Officer of our foundation's Medical Advisory Board. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Bruce, for that great acknowledgement of our sponsors. What I actually like about this virtual event is that we can hear and acknowledge all of these great partners for the program. So next part of this session will be about 15 minutes, and let's talk about some background about why this event is so important, why our health behaviors are so important, and we want to talk about how fundraising can actually realize potentials for rehab programs to do good around the world. There is a whole community, and events like this have a real ripple throughout. Over the many years of the Cardiac Health Foundation Walk of Life, we have connected with hundreds of program events and supported thousands of patients in person and virtually to help them be as successful as possible. So thank you very much for joining us on this ongoing support for these programs to do their best possible in their communities. This particular session, we'll talk about a bit of the facts about why exercise is so important for your heart health. And indeed, cardiac rehabilitation can strengthen not only your heart, but beyond individuals, communities, and beyond. And our goals together are to strengthen the lives of Canadians every single day. Here's a few fun facts, or maybe not so much fun. 9 out of 10 adults have at least one risk factor for developing heart disease or other chronic conditions. Things like being inactive or not eating well or smoking are features of many of our lives, but fortunately things that we can do something about, because heart disease is indeed the second leading cause of death, and 2.3 million Canadians are indeed living with heart disease. Heart disease is the leading cause of premature death in women in particular, and it is 5 times more likely for women to die of heart disease than breast cancer. Investing in your health early on can make a big difference. We know that common risk factors, as we've said, being inactive, not eating well, smoking, and maybe not drinking as healthy as possible might account for 80% of the premature deaths that we face in society today. On the physical activity specific agenda, there are guidelines in the United States, this is from the CDC, as well as from Canada and elsewhere, that have this common message that being active 150 minutes per week, that's about 30 minutes a day with a couple of days off, as well as strengthening our muscles and bones a couple of times a week, is an important recipe to health. And if we look specifically at conditions, this kind of activity can lower our risk of developing heart conditions by up to 35%. It can lower the risk of developing diabetes by 58%. And heart disease is tied very much to our mental health as well. And being active can lower your risk of being depressed or developing cognitive decline later in life by 30%. And overall, if we couple all this together, if you trade off time of 30 minutes on the couch to 30 minutes of walking and being active, well, you can lower your chance of dying prematurely by up to 30%. So huge benefits from simple activities that are in your power. Let's talk specifically about cardiac rehab. This foundation and this event has supported cardiac rehab for 3.5 decades. Why is this important? Well, let's think about cardiac rehab. This is an image from cardiac rehab in happier times, back in times where we could actually get together physically. And it reminds us from the World Health Organization that when we are active together, we're working on physical, mental, and social health together so that people can return to be productive and active in their communities. And that's what we're trying to do with cardiac rehabilitation. We'll interject a few poignant quotes from our participants. And Maureen wrote to us and said, "My advice to anybody who has had a heart attack is not to simply think that that's the end. Life can continue on normally afterwards." Strengthening hearts is what we do well in cardiac rehabilitation through structured programming that includes medically assessing individuals, providing structured physical activity and lifestyle education, and importantly, psychological support. And when we do that, people do so much better. Janine says, "My advice to couples going through a similar time is to be patient and just believe you're not defined by your illness. You're an individual and you can get better." Cardiac rehab can save lives. Research done in our own program, and this is research that was actually supported through foundation activities, through our own hospital, as well as through the CHFC, we can demonstrate that if we analyze 4,000 people, half of them did rehabilitation, half of them didn't. If we look at events over the next 5 years, the mortality rates are about twice as high for people who don't do rehabilitation. The corollary, cardiac rehab reduces mortality by 50% if you do the program. Jack says, "I just enjoy life because I've got a second chance to do things. I'm lucky. I'm one of the ones who do cardiac rehab, and my prognosis will be so much better as a result." We can't do this without you, and we're so pleased to be part of this event within our own family here, as well as in the broader cardiac rehab community. Here are a few examples of fundraising in action that our foundation, our donors, our patients have supported. And for this platform called Cardiac College and the Healthy University, we'd just like to give a few shout outs to the assets that have been developed that have been so important, particularly in this time of the COVID pandemic. This shows you the landing page of what the Health University looks like. We have a guide on how to be healthy. The program that people do in cardiac rehab is available to you on this web platform. And indeed, programs that around the country and around the world have been sharing this with patients, especially during this time of pandemic. We have taken time to translate these resources into a number of different languages so that we can share these resources globally. And here are the few first examples of translations into French and Spanish and Portuguese, in Indian languages like Punjabi, in Chinese language, Arabic, and others are under development. And we work very closely with partners around the world so that we can culturally adapt these assets, deploy them, and then evaluate how well that they work. On the web platform that you can see, that very important part of cardiac rehabilitation is that we choose foods in a healthy way. And there's lots of colorful video resources around that. And we need to be active. And at this time, being active at home is what we need. So here's a whole video library, for instance, on how you can do the exercises at home that we would normally do on site here. And if you wanted a structured way of doing this, you can learn at your own pace through this program called Thrive, where you pick your own journey and go through 12 weeks of this kind of program. And if we can put all this together, then we can connect with the world in this virtual way. This is a virtual walk. We can also deliver programs virtually. And the Cardiac College Online program that has been supported again through our foundational activities has been a very important asset. And tens of thousands of people are connecting on this on a weekly basis. And we've been able to reach people around the globe. And none of this would have been possible if it had not been for the generosity of our donors, our patient partners, our very, very generous partners around the world. Speaking of partnerships, this is another one where we see fundraising and supports in action. And there is this wonderful quote from the Lions: "When there is a need, there is a lion." And Dr. Michael Sarin has been a champion of the lion doctors in the area and championing the cause of diabetes. And keeping active while being socially connected and physically distanced. The Walk and Talk Diabetes team, great shout out to you. Your future depends on what you do right now in the present, and choosing your health behaviors early on, encouraging our families and our kids to be active at a young age, carry that through adulthood. And indeed, if you've experienced an event, you can still invest in a healthy future by following these fundamental ideas that we embrace every day in the cardiac rehab community. On the note of teams, big shout out and thank you to the many teams who are participating in this event. We are part of the Toronto Rehab Cardiac team. BMO has been a perennial annual national sponsor and has sported a team heart for BMO. The Canadian Congenital Heart Alliance has been a strong partner and advocated for youngsters and adults who are born with heart conditions. The Walk and Talk Diabetes team has been a great partner, as we've said. The A team and Women's Cardiac and Cerebral Vascular Health team, that's a new addition this year. Team Tridel, under the leadership of Leo, has been a superb partner for us, along with the Dell property management side of the house. Team Cobby, great shout out to you. And the Hoffmans, and Busy Bees, and Kinsley's crew, and Rogers, thank you so much. Shout out to the runners with heart that aren't listed here, who are active and sometimes at very odd hours, like 6 in the morning, getting their runs in. And shout out to you, the Wong family, who are celebrating not only this event, but Mars's birthday. Happy birthday, Mars. We have strength in numbers. And we wondered, could we actually pull this off as a group in this time of pandemic? But everyone has risen to the occasion. The foundation teams at the CHFC, the foundation team at Toronto Rehab. And here's some quick stats. All of you have joined in and given very generously. To date, we have over 330 participants in the program, and the dollars raised have been over $255,000. A great virtual fist bump, round of applause, because this is tremendous, and this has wildly exceeded our expectations around this event. And you should know that the dollars raised will be used for tremendous causes. And we've just presented one example of how those dollars actually work in action. Want to give also a shout out to the top fundraisers to date. Number 5, Mr. Henry Cooper. Number 4, Frank Fish. Number 3, Evelyn Foster. By the way, Evelyn is one of our enthusiastic and such a giving person, a member of our cardiac rehab staff here. And undoubtedly, she was able to motivate through her kind care a number of great supporters for the program. Number 2, Halim Shakur. And number 1, drumroll please, no surprise, Mr. Irving Bookbinder, who has been a champion for this program year after year. Thank you very much to Irving and his fabulous support network who have been so generous of time and money. We have one more item to give away, and that's the winner of the Urban Polls. Let me put on my mask while Christina Mellos has been the coordinator, leader, director of the Walk of Life for many, many years at the Cardiac Health Foundation. Christina, deep into this winner jar, we're going to call out a name for the winner of the Irving, I'm going to say the Irving Bookbinder polls. No, they are the Urban Polls from Urban Polling, and the winner is Renee Canitas. Yay, Renee, congratulations. And those polls will be sent to you in the post or by courier. All right. And then we're inviting you, of course, in this world to take photos on social media as you do your events today, as you engage with family. Please use hashtag WalkOfLife2020 on your Twitter, Facebook, or Insta profile to share your posts with @CardiacHealth, and we'll build the community not only locally, but virtually. At this point, to kick off this physical part of the event, we'd love to share with you a warm-up video to get you ready to do the next phase if you are choosing to do your 30-minute of physical activity right now. And shout out to Marissa and Fernando from our program for creating this warm-up video. This will go for about 3 minutes, and we'll invite you, of course, it's very important for all of us to get ready for physical activity. So let's cue up the video.
Hello everyone, welcome to the warm-up and cool-down for the Walk of Life. My name is Marissa Martinuzzi. I'm a cardiac rehab supervisor here at Toronto Cardiac Rehab. With me, I have Dr. Fernando Rivera. He'll be showing the seated versions of these exercises. So we're going to start with a warm-up. We want to make sure we warm up our body before we do some exercise, okay? So this is a dynamic warm-up, meaning we're moving to warm up our muscles and joints. Afterwards, we'll show you a cool down, which you'll do after you're done your exercise session, okay? So first, we're going to march on the spot. As you can see, Dr. Rivera will be doing the seated version, marching on the spot, okay? For these exercises, you can do them for about 20 to 30 seconds to make sure you're nice and warm before you start your session. Good, and you want to make sure you breathe throughout all of these sessions. You can swing your arms if you want. If you'd like to hold on to something to keep yourself steady, you can. If there is any question about your balance though, good idea to do the seated version. All right, good. Okay, so we're done with the march. Next, we're going to do shoulder rolls. Okay, we'll start going in one direction. Release all the tension. Again, breathing through these exercises. Okay, let's switch direction, go the other way. All right, very good. The next one's going to be a leg swing or leg kick, okay? So I'm going to be using the wall to hold myself for balance. I'm going to turn this way, hold on to the wall for balance here. My outside leg, I'm swinging forward and back nice and gently. making sure I'm nice and tall and not leaning forward into the swing. Okay, let's turn around. I'm going to turn around and switch legs. Outside leg, swinging back and forth. All right, very good. Last one for the warm-up is an ankle rotation. So again, holding on if you need to. Toe goes down onto the ground and do a gentle roll. Okay, you can also lift up your leg and do a rotation that way. It's based on your comfort level and your balance. All right, we're going to switch ankles. Switch direction. Very good. Okay, so that was our dynamic warm-up. So we would still want you to do a warm-up for whatever exercise you're doing. So if you're walking, you still want to do 5 to 10 minutes of a nice, light, slow pace before you increase your pace and intensity. Same with biking, elliptical, or whatever modality of exercise you choose to do.
Thanks, Marissa and Fernando, for that great warm-up. We're almost ready to get going. You've got your sneakers on. Here's a reminder, though, that some of you may not be able to get in your activity today, even though you're warm. We'll continue fundraising live for the next couple of weeks, and we'll end this on July the 11th, 2020. So that gives us a good 2 weeks. A note from the office that your fundraising prizes that you'll get for reaching certain levels will be sent out from the Cardiac Health Foundation office to your home via mail. So look for that over the next few weeks. Before we leave you, I just want to give a shout out to our good partners here in the on site with us. From the Cardiac Health Foundation, Christina Mellos and John Sodden, they're here. Christina, John. From the Toronto Rehab Foundation, Catherine and Kevin. And from our Toronto Rehab team, Jessica and Naomi. Thank you very much to all of you for being here. We acknowledge that there are many others that were involved in the planning and execution of this event. It doesn't happen without many hands, respecting the important physical distancing kind of opportunities and people who may be elsewhere in safe environments. This is the core team that's joined us today. Well, that brings us to the end of this formal portion of the Walk of Life. We thank you very much for joining us for the opening ceremonies, for the education, for the inspiration together. We all feel very much better and ready to move forward, knowing that we've been together on this event. We thank you very much. We wish you a heart-healthy day, and we will look forward to seeing you again next year for the 37th Walk of Life. Thank you all.